Good evening. I'd like to call to order the December 4th, 2017 council meeting. Please stand for invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Bobby, if you please lead us.
Father God, we thank you for this day, God, and thank you for being so loving and so kind and so merciful. God, we ask you this time to please be with our city, be with all our council persons, be with them, watch over them, and continue giving them the strength they need to be the leaders of this community. God, bless everyone who's present. Be with their families, be with them. Continue to watch over them and continue to pray, Lord, for all of our health and our strength. God, we ask you to pray for all of our leaders of our community. Pray for our first responders. Be with them. Watch over them, God, and protect them. Keep them safe. God, we ask you to continue to help us as we grow and help us to be what you'd have us to be. Continue to help us to be persons who look out for the least, the last, and the lost. We ask it all in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bobby. Have a roll call, please.
Councilperson White.
Present.
Councilperson Sestovny.
Present.
Councilperson Maples.
Here.
Councilperson Hawkins.
Here.
Council President Gill.
Here.
Councilperson Owen.
Here.
Councilperson Ellis.
Here.
Councilperson Samuel.
Here.
Let the record reflect 8 council members present, 1 council member absent.
Yes, and Callie Yon is out all week with business for her job. That's why she's not here. Can I get approval of the minutes for regular proceedings on November 20th, 2017?
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
I abstained since I was not here.
Okay, let the record show the 1 abstention. So it passes. Can I have approval of the agenda, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Claims to be approved, starting with the general.
We have civil city claims tonight for $1,219,329.04.
Okay.
And all of the issues that you brought up are taken care of.
Okay. So the PO was signed and dated for that, and then,
It was already done, it was just not with the claim, yes.
okay, good. Thank you, appreciate
Motion
that.
to approve. Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve our claims for $1,219,329.04. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Parks claims, please.
Parks are $49,964.50.
Okay, I do have something I need to, we have, if we approve the parks claim contingent upon there is something needs to go through, conflict of interest needs to go through Board of Public Works, which I'm hoping to go through this Wednesday.
Right.
So if we do that, that would satisfy me greatly. And you did get the ad for that Extol magazine?
Which one was that? Tell me again.
The Extol magazine, we needed a copy of the ad.
I didn't see that one. I will get that one though.
Okay.
Extol, E-X-T-O-L.
Yeah.
Which,
Okay.
question,
Go right ahead.
your first point on the conflict, which claim are we talking about?
That is for, I didn't put it's page 4. It's for the Wheeler Richard for $173.95. He drives a trolley, but he also works for our sewer department, so I don't want to see him do a conflict of interest. So other than that, everything else is in order then. Thank you, Heather.
Those claims went out to the authority without any questions. Emailed. Make a motion to approve. Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve contingent upon?
With the contingency.
Do you second that? Okay, you got a motion and a second to approve the parks claim of $49,964.50 with contingency of getting the conflict of interest approved Board of Public Works. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I'll get a copy of the ad too to put on that other one.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Report of the clerk.
I have none at this time.
Okay, and we'll go right into unfinished business. Whoop, Heather, it's you again, sorry. Just as you sat down. It's passed on our first and second reading, but we do have the public hearing tonight. If there's no questions or comments, nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing if council doesn't have any questions for Heather. Okay, at this time, I'm going to open up public hearing for the ordinance number 2017 OR 76 for additional appropriation. Does anybody here that wish to speak for or against the ordinance, please step forward. State your name and address for the record. If seeing none, I am officially closing.
Motion to approve on the final reading.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to pass 2017 OR 76 and third and final. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We'll go into 2017 OR 77. Nothing's changed?
No changes.
Okay, I'm officially open up public hearing. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak for or against the ordinance? Seeing none, officially closed, and I'll entertain a motion.
These funds are replenished by fees, correct?
Yes, the liens,
Yes, the liens.
property liens, yes.
Motion to approve on the final reading.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to pass 2017 OR 77 third and final. Any further discussion or comment? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
We have the 2017 OR 79, an ordinance fixing the salaries of elected officials in the city of Jeff. If there's not any questions or anything, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve on the third.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any question, comment? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We move into new business, which we have with us tonight.
I'm sorry, you got one more ordinance. A to be
Oh,
transferred.
sorry. I didn't have that up on my thing. I'm sorry. It is ordinance to transfer certain funds within the same department that did pass on the first and second.
There's no changes to this one either.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you all.
Now we will go into new business. We have with us tonight, we have Nancy Woodworth, as she is here with Clark County Cares, and I do want to acknowledge that Judge Brad Jacobs is here tonight. Thank you for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening. I am the Reverend Nancy Woodworth Hill, co-pastor and rector of St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Jeffersonville, and the facilitator of Clark County Cares, which stands for Community Addiction Resources, Education, and Support. On behalf of this community group, I thank you for your time tonight and for the financial support you gave this group a year ago, which brought awareness of the opioid epidemic to over 1,000 citizens in our community. You will be interested to learn that the overdose death rate numbers for Clark County have gone down. 3 years ago, we had the highest rate in the state of Indiana, and now Clark County's OD rate is below the state average. Compare this to our surrounding counties, which have increases in their overdose death rate. This is due, I believe, to our first responders carrying Narcan, the success of the interchange, the syringe exchange program, and citizen education. Your leadership and support have made a difference in the lives of individuals, those who love them, and ultimately our businesses, which require healthy employees. Our first responders, courts, and various support systems. The leadership group of Clark County Cares has been planning our third annual week-long slate of events for our community during National Drug Fact Week, January 22nd to 28th, 2018. And we are pleased to announce 7 events to share facts, increase awareness, and invite community participation. I've prepared for you a handout that on one side lists our goals, and has our list of participants for these events and a rough budget on the back. There's pieces still missing. Clark County Cares remains a grassroots group dependent on many kinds of support from our community. Our sponsors include Clark Memorial Hospital, LifeSpring, St. Paul's Episcopal Church, WLKY, News and Tribune, the Roman Catholic Community of Jeffersonville and its Substance Abuse Ministry, the Young Democrats of Clark County, Freedom 101, which is a group working inside jails, and many, many community leaders and institutions. We invite the City of Jeffersonville to once again sponsor our events. We ask you to consider contributing $5,000 to this January series of public education and awareness. And we also invite you to attend some of the events, to share information about these events with your friends, family, neighbors, and co-workers. Again, I thank you for your time and your kind attention to our request.
Well, we thank
Okay.
you. I think I'll go ahead and entertain a motion. I think we talked about it. We sent out, there's $15,000 left in our special project. So if there's support, I'd like to have a motion for the $5,000.
Is that out of the council's special
Yes.
projects or
Yes.
out of the
Council's.
gaming? Wasn't there a gaming line that had some money in it?
How many years has Clark County Cares been in existence?
It will be 3 full years this coming April.
Mm. Sorry. 226. I'm sorry. Page 17. Yeah, we have $20,000 in a special projects line item in gaming, and that'd be much more, I think that's much more appropriate instead of taking it out of the property tax line. So I'd make a motion to approve $5,000 out of special projects from the share of gaming revenue.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
One thing. In order to do the claim, in order for me to process the claim, I'll need some information. Are you all a 501c3 yet?
No. We have been running our funds through the church that I serve, which
Yes.
is a 501c3, and therefore all of the funds are trackable because I don't
Oh, I know.
do
Yeah.
it.
I just need to,
I don't have that there. I'll write it down.
I'll just get her number. I'll get her phone number.
That's it. Then we will move on to Mr. Merkley, an ordinance changing the zoning map destination of certain tract of property located at 411 East 10th Street and fully describe the tax exhibit A from moving from an R1 to a C2. And I do believe this property does include, for the rezonings of the 2810, 2812, and 2821 of Sellers Court too, correct?
Yes, and also the 3800 block of East 10th Street as well. So there's actually 5 parcels, 5 separate ordinances that are before you to be rezoned for the development that is commonly called Jeffersonville Commons. This is out around the new Kroger on that side of 10th Street. The request is, and then comes to you with a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission, is to rezone all of these parcels to C2, to commercial, to be consistent with the development that is occurring around the new Kroger. This is a public hearing. I've spoken with the council president prior to the meeting that we go ahead and consolidate all 5 ordinances or parcels for purposes of the public hearing, but each ordinance will require a separate motion and separate vote.
So do you all, the council, have any questions or comments for Mr. Merkley before I open up the public hearing, because we will include all the addresses in the public hearing.
Can I go ahead and assign the numbers?
Yes.
The first one, 4011 East 10th, will be number 81. The next one, 2810, will be number 82. 2812 will be number 83. And 2821 will be 84. And the last, Mr. Merkley, are we going to do the last one, which was the, and I think we probably will, the, doesn't have, the 3800 block
Yes.
of East 10th? Okay.
Yes.
And that will be 85.
Okay, so at this time, I'm going to officially open up the public hearing for the properties for 4011 East 10th Street, 2810 Sellers Court, 2812 Sellers Court, 2821 Sellers Court, and the 3800 block of East 10th Street. They are to change the zoning from R1s, changing them all to the C2s, part of the Jefferson Commons. So is there anybody here who wish to speak for or against this zoning? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing none, I'll officially close. And if there's no further questions, I'd like to go ahead and we'll just move right on into...
I do have a question.
Okay.
Can someone go over just briefly what the plans are for these parcels?
This is the frontage of 62 along the Kroger side of the development for Mr. Nickley's, I believe. I don't know if they have specifics.
No, I just rezoned it to C2 so they can develop the commercial.
For
Yes.
uniform, right.
I mean, I would speculate restaurants, but that's just fine.
Motion to approve 17 OR 81.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion for 2017 OR82.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion for 2017 OR83.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion for 2017 OR84.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. And I'll entertain a motion for the 2017 OR85.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
And I'm going to pass them around one at a time,
That'll be good. Thank you.
so.
Point out that these are all in Mr. Maple's district, I believe.
Yes, they are.
I've never heard him so vocal at a meeting.
So we'll move
I'll
on
keep
to,
it track for
Mr. Merkley, we have an ordinance changing the zoning map for 4203 Middle Road. It's described in Exhibit A, going from an R1 to an R1 PUD. It is going to be for Wolf Run.
Yes, this is property located at 4203 Middle Road. I believe they have a presentation to make to the council. Again, this comes from the Planning Commission with a favorable recommendation. And this is a residential development.
Get a button there.
Wait, we got to...
Is it that document?
While they're getting set up, I'll just mention that the neighborhood that adjoins this property also joins my neighborhood, and there were comments about some notices that went out for the planning meeting, but there wasn't any negative feedback that I got from any of the residents that joined it.
Lights on.
Take the cap off.
Just like home.
Thanks for placing us on the agenda for this evening. Greg Pfeiffer, Applegate Pfeiffer Pulliam, 428 Beggs Avenue, here on behalf of the applicant. The principals of the applicant are Dan Christiani, David Schuler, and Michael Schuler, who are here. They'll be glad to answer any questions that you have about the actual development. Also with me is Jason Copperwaite, the design engineer for the project. I'm not going to rehash the entire presentation to the Plan Commission, but we did attempt to go through the manner in which this property is consistent with the comprehensive plan. And specifically, I would note that within your comprehensive plan, this area is in a suburban neighborhood or suburban marketplace, and goal 1 of that designation says allow a variety of housing types such as detached homes, duplexes, townhomes, patio homes, and apartments to provide housing choices for people of differing ages, incomes, and needs. And we think that the proposal, as Jason will go through with you in more detail, attempts to coincide with existing similar uses in every direction and complies with that requirement. In addition, I think it's perhaps coincidental, but I would place into your record the article that appeared in the News and Tribune regarding the visit to Southern Indiana by the Lieutenant Governor and a lack of affordable housing throughout the region. I would note that I think, as I stated at the Plan Commission meeting, the study undertaken by your plan staff to analyze the need for additional housing units due to the unparalleled growth of River Ridge, I think is a good piece of work and is consistent with developing the type of mix of housing choices and availability for workforce housing to support the continuing development of River Ridge. That study said we needed 4,700 more housing units within the next 5 years, and noted that the city, at its current density development rate, would lack by a couple hundred acres the land on which to implement those if all those units were to locate in the city. So we think this is a quality development. Jason will run through with you to show some of those details. We'll show you the finishes, and if you have any questions, any of us would be glad to answer those.
Try to run through quickly. This is the site. This is 32.2 acres on Middle Road. This is Lighthouse Apartments. This is Pebble Creek, which Councilman Owen was mentioning earlier. Middle Road, Port Road. All of this here is owned by the port. There are a couple of island properties here in the middle. This is the current zoning. The site is currently zoned R1. This is Ellingsworth Commons, which the GIS is still showing as R1, but is actually PD now. Pebble Creek is R2, Lighthouse is M2, and this is all I2 for the port. You've got some residential and commercial, again, islands kind of here, and a little bit of residential islanding going on right there. The proposal for Wolf Run is 55 single-family housing units, which is comparable to the R2 zone, which is, again, comparable to what's in Pebble Creek, and 96 multifamily dwelling units arranged here, and it includes 12 acres of open space, which is about 37% open space. This is the roadway that was proposed for the Ellingsworth Commons linkage over to Middle Road. We've coordinated this development with Ellingsworth to make sure that everything flows correctly, and we're transitioning again from the single family approved in Ellingsworth out to industrial on the other side of Middle Road. The single family homes will be craftsman style, a mix of aesthetics, brick, stone, hardy. I think the PUD book calls for a maximum of 25 square feet of vinyl in the front, like a gable or something like that. So, but good quality homes.
Jason, did you have the materials that
We do.
you're showing us?
I was going to get to that. For the multifamily, the proposed buildings are 3-story. They're 2-story brick, and the top story, which is cement fiberboard, or what you commonly known as hardy board, which the developers provided this material board. You want to go ahead and pass that around, please? Those are the colors that they're looking for, and we've tried to model that on the computer, but it loses a little bit in translation. But that's about what the buildings will look like. From a planning standpoint, what we've tried to do is plan this out in I guess, good planning fashion. The red on here represents the existing Pebble Creek and what's approved in Ellingsworth Commons. This red represents the single family proposed here. This purple represents the multifamily that is Lighthouse, and this purple represents the multifamily that my clients are proposing, and this represents the industrial that is I-2 in the ports. As you see, we've got the 12 acres of green space, which lines up with what Ellingsworth Commons, again, is proposing. I know the plan with Ellingsworth is that should the city desire to take over that park, they certainly are willing to do that. We are willing to do that as well, but if the city doesn't want to do that, then it'll be maintained by the HOA. No obligation there for the city at all, but there is the opportunity there. There's about a 12-page PUD book that goes with this that spells out lighting, landscaping, aesthetic standards for the buildings, which are not otherwise in the ordinance, parking, signage. These are the proposed signage, but they'll have a 1-foot brick base per your sign ordinance. So again, we think it's a good quality development. We've tried to plan it in accordance with the neighbors. As Mr. Owen mentioned, there were no public speakers at the Plan Commission, and we achieved approval 7-1, I believe it was 6-1. So be happy to answer any questions.
Did you go before the BZA for any variances?
We did not.
Of the, okay.
No.
The building standards. And what are your price?
Because it's a PUD, it wouldn't be any BZA.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
We approved that as a PUD.
If we approve it
did.
as a
If we
PUD,
approve
there's
it.
no BZA.
Right.
We agreed to their PUD restrictions. And
Correct.
What's kind of the plan? Are we going to go for the multifamily first and then fill in with the single family, or?
The road out to Middle Road requires an IDNR permit, so that'll be our first step to achieve that permit. And then I think they would develop the whole thing at one time. They would build the single family out as market desired, but timing they would be simultaneous.
Gotcha. And what's your price point on the single family?
200 to 300.
Okay.
I have a question. It's R1 today. How many units would be able to fit on this piece of property if it stayed R1?
I did not do that calculation. Somewhere between, probably around 40.
About 40. And then there's 52 houses?
55.
55 units?
Correct.
And then apartments. How many units will be in an apartment?
96.
96. All right, thank you.
And you guys are going to manage these, is the plan to do it in-house?
David Schuler presently owns an apartment development in New Albany called St. Charles Place. He utilizes property management of Louisville, a professional management firm, to manage that on a daily basis. And the intent is to use the same firm here. So they will have on-site professional management, not around the clock, but there'll be on-site professional management to run these apartments and to get them leased up and to handle all those day-to-day issues.
And has there been any discussion, and you may not want to share this with us, that at some point these could be, after part of the investment is recouped through rent, that these could become condos?
That's always possible in today's financing marketplace. It's unlikely because once they exist, perhaps that would make it a little more palatable, but it's difficult to at least do new construction condos and obtain financing both for the construction and the sale. I'm less certain about that, but yeah, I think they'll be built of a quality that certainly could be done if, as the market matures, that makes sense.
Okay, and then in regards to the open space that's available, the 30 whatever
37%.
Of that 37%, by the time it's all said and done, how much of that will be a usable 37%? You know, and I'm talking about the ring that kind of that borders it. Is it just going to be a runoff ditch, or is the developer going to prepare that in such a way as it could be usable?
I mean, it's all usable. Right now it's farm field, except for the creek that's right in the middle of it. But either side is fairly flat and usable for ball fields or frisbee golf or whatever might want to be used there.
Any other questions from council for them? If not, I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing. Okay. At this time, I want to officially open up the public hearing for 2017 OR 86. It's an ordinance changing the zoning map designation of certain tract property located at 4203 Middle Road, fully described in attachment Exhibit A, from an R1 to an R1 PUD. We named Wolf Run. Is there anybody here to speak for or against? Okay, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
Nancy Eklund, 1608 Flintlock Drive, which happens to be on Middle Road, close to where this development is being proposed. I know with Ellingsworth Commons, there's going to be an increase in traffic, even though there's two entrances to Ellingsworth. I don't know if this shared road will allow the residents of this new development to have more than one entrance, or if it'll all be Middle Road.
It would be their development would empty onto the road that goes between 10th and Middle, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, they'd have the choice.
It's a shared.
So they wouldn't all have to.
No, they could go
Middle
through
Road.
Ellingsworth to Middle Road, or to 10th Street if they chose to.
Okay, because
That Lewis Road.
if there's going to be 55 houses, 96 apartments, say average of 2 cars per family, we're looking at 300 more cars going up and down Middle Road per day possibly, and it's already getting very crowded and hard to get in and out of our subdivision. So that is an issue. You try to go out to Port Road to get to 265, it's really backed up during rush hour now. I don't know if they're contemplating a light there, but it's really getting bad already out there. I was disappointed that with what he said about a variety of housing, we've got the single families and the apartments, we've already got them in the area. We have very little in the way of duplexes, patio homes, townhouses, condominiums. We would really like to see a little more variety instead of just going to apartments. I think that just lends itself to more noise, more traffic, more transient as far as people coming and going and not really staying in one place, which for our city we're looking to people to come and settle here. So those are just a few concerns that I have. I think most of the other questions I had, he did answer.
Is there anybody else wish to speak for or against? Then I will officially close public hearing. Was there anybody who would like to address any of her questions or concerns that she brought up?
I did notice that in their standards, they've got for the apartments 1.5 paved off-street parking spaces per dwelling. So I would, and that's the standard I believe that we already have in the code. I don't know if you can count on 2.
The plan shows 2. In talking with staff, they suggested that we lower that just to give some flexibility in the design, the final design. But the plan right now shows 2 spaces.
Okay. The traffic is bad on Middle Road at rush hour, but the port controls that intersection and won't allow for a traffic light. It's not for a lack of trying on the city's part. I'm sure that everybody would love to see that go in, except the members of the
If I
port.
could add to that, they will allow it. You just have to meet the NDOT standards to warrant the light, correct?
No, they will not allow
The
it.
port owns that intersection.
We've tried.
We've talked with the port as well.
Mr.
and,
Pfeiffer, if you'd like to try.
Right.
I'll be glad to give my best.
Yeah, they will, they've said they will not allow a traffic signal for whatever reason. I think that's the benefit of and I've lost my projector, but the boulevard design that connects this development with Ellingsworth, that is the only access to this property, and there's no other access off of Middle Road. That's the only access. Once that road is completed through 10th Street, then traffic will be able to move freely, even from Pebble Creek. There'll be connections from Pebble Creek over to 10th and Middle as well in various places. So there'll be 3 or 4 exits from the whole area once development is complete. I think, yes, more development means more traffic, but I think it will allow it to meander through the city a little easier than it does now.
Number 86,
Yes, sir.
motion to approve 17 OR 86.
Second.
I got a motion and a second to pass 2017 OR 86. Is there any further questions, comments?
Yeah, I have some comments. Ms. Eklund really brought up my concerns. Today it's R1, so it's single-family zoning. And so you could put about 42 units on that. That means 42 houses for garbage pickup. That means 42 times 2 cars, about 84 cars or so. If we go forward with this, it's almost, to me, it's a down zoning, because we're talking about 151 living units versus 42 houses. That means over 300 cars, most likely. Also means a lot more garbage pickups. Also means other resources are factored in, police and fire. There's also a factor of, and Ms. Eklund brought this up too, and I had this written down, owner-occupied versus rentals, and what that means as far as pride of ownership of somebody owning a home. And when you look at a mix of use, they did say townhomes and condos, and that's what would be great there versus apartments. Apartments, I think, is on the lowest end when it comes to that because of the home ownership, the commitment to the community, some of the things that Ms. Eklund said. So with that, that's why I voted no at planning and zoning, although I didn't express myself in the public meeting because it kind of got in the weeds with the planning and zoning folks. But I did want to bring up those concerns and mention why I'll be voting no for this down zone, in my opinion.
Could I offer a comment to that, because I thought it would come up?
I don't think we're past that, are we?
Yeah, is there any other further comment or questions?
I just comment that it is directly adjacent to another apartment complex that has done a great job of keeping up their property, as well as on the other side of Ellingsworth is another apartment complex that does a good job of keeping up. I'm not familiar with the Schuler's property in New Albany, I think you said, but I am familiar with Mr. Christiani's work, and it's always top-notch and quality work. So I think it's appropriate if that's what you guys want to do.
I think it's also appropriate. I think it's a good mix of owner-occupied housing with apartments. There are people who live in apartments for the duration, so we need to keep them in mind as well. And I think this is a good job of doing so, and I think the plan is, with the standards that they're going to use to build are good, and I think, as Mr. Owen said, it's right next to the Lighthouse, which sits in front of a housing development. You have Ellingsworth Farms, this development, and then apartments. It goes along that same design, and traffic is traffic.
Got one other comment too. When you look at a multifamily, we have ordinance that outlines some of our expectations for multifamily, M1s and M2s, as far as amenities, as far as covered parking, as far as a pool or whatever. And I don't think that this meets even those standards within that area. That's going to be an M1 because it's going to be a PD. Now, I'm not saying there's not benefits and that it's not going to look nice when it's completed. I'm sure it will. But I'm just adding, I guess, some other points when we look at becoming a multifamily use in that area.
So, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Do we have any city council attorney reports tonight?
I feel like I'm about to say something that the guy that, comments that there hasn't been an earthquake from the New Madrid Fault since 1811. However, I'm almost a year in, and I got to tell you, you're the most professional and the most prepared group of folks I've represented in government. And I just hope the building doesn't shake because I've invited that. But thanks so much. Yeah, I'm right.
Well, thank you.
What you gonna have to wait?
I do know that under department heads, the Assistant Chief McVoy wished to address us. Is he here? Okay.
Well, then maybe I spoke too soon.
Probably so. Go ahead, Mark, if you want to pass them out. I got the chance to speak with some of you, not all of you, over the phone as we've been working on this for the last couple of weeks. What Mr. Reed is passing out, he is with ERS/Owens Communications, who is our portable radio and mobile radio vendor. They've been a vendor of ours for a very long time. Long story short, the portable radios that we carry, the XTS 5000s, will be going out of service. They're going to stop making those, and they're going to stop servicing them within the next year or so, and that's with fire as well. For the police department, all told, we have 90 radios that each individual officer is assigned to and they carry. Traditionally in the past, when it came to radios, if you were a new hire or your radio failed or was broken, we would buy those piece by piece, 2 or 3 or 4. So I'd asked Mr. Reed to, in light of what's going to occur in the next 12 to 16 months with these radios that are going out of service, I didn't want to come to the council a year from now and say, oh, by the way, we need 90 radios. So with his due diligence, he put together a package, not just for Jeff Fire and Jeff Police, but for the entire Clark County. However, the design was for us because we knew that we were going to buy the most radios between fire and police. So that being said, the deal was normally we get 27% off MSRP on our radios. Motorola upped the deal to 33%. They gave us 4 years to pay for the radios. First year is a deferred payment. We do not have to pay them. However, we can if we choose to. 0% interest for the 4 years, and then 3 structured payments for 2019, 20, and 21. So, and again, it's 0% interest, and the cost savings to the department for police alone is $34,000. So if we chose to, again, which I think would be a bad move, to piece this together, 10 radios here, 10 radios there, one is we're going to take our chances with a lot of radios that are going to be going out of service, finding someone to service those radios, repair, and or we couldn't replace them, we would have to buy the new radios anyway. I just think that's a bad, that would be not a wise decision. That being said, is they've guaranteed us the software that the technology wouldn't be obsolete in a couple of years. They come with a 3-year warranty, and again, just based off of the cost savings as a whole, I just think that this was the absolute best deal that we were going to get. They guarantee us 2017 pricing. So my goal was to come notify the council tonight of the deal that Motorola had presented to us through ERS, and hopefully present that to the BPW in 2 weeks. We could come to an agreement. There's 2 options. We can do this all as a whole between fire and police together in one lump sum over the 4 years, or if we need to separate it for police only and fire only, they can do that as well. It would just be 2 separate agreements with the same pricing. Ours is a little bit more because we have more radios to purchase. I don't know how many.
We have 35, about half, so our savings is roughly 16,000. So total 50 between the both of us.
And I'm not a techie, obviously, but if you had any questions about the radios themselves, the current model we've had for 10 to 12 years, and it will be the same life expectancy on the new models moving forward. So, and that was that. And I wanted to come wish you guys season greetings. I don't get to see you all very often, so.
Thank you.
Hey, see,
I
I don't think it's
I
obvious
meant
that
that
you're not
serious.
techie.
I'm not,
Could be.
obviously. He's not.
What's the plan for,
That's all right.
What's the plans for the radios? Will we get these in one big lump sum in the beginning, and then do we have a plan for the radios we have? Are we trading those in, or are they not accepting them because of being, going to be obsolete soon?
Right. If we keep the current or the new order, that this is to come to fruition, would be delivered by or shipped before 12/31/17.
Okay.
The outgoing radios, we could still utilize those. We can look for a third-party source over the internet. Hopefully, maybe we can sell those, or maybe will they take those on some type of trade in the future? That's a Motorola question that I couldn't answer.
I just didn't know, I didn't see a plan for the ones we had. I just kind of curious on what we were going to do with those.
State your name and for the record.
Yes.
So they-
My name is Micah Reed. I'm with ERS OCI Wireless. The question was, what would happen to the existing XTS, XTL line of radios that Motorola is currently discontinuing and replacing with the Apex line of radios, which the promotion actually covers. So the departments, the individual departments can do with those existing radios as they wish. The current promotion that Motorola has put forth for the county does not really include any trade-in promotions. Motorola has given basically a greater discount with or without radio trade-in.
Okay.
So the individual departments can do whatever they want with their existing radios.
But there is like somewhere where you think where maybe we could probably try to sell those?
Absolutely. There are third-party vendors out there that purchase use XTS and XTL equipment all the time. So, and we can facilitate that if needed.
Okay. That answers my question, because I do.
I wouldn't know where Go Deals are.
Yeah, or smaller police agencies sometimes buy radios on a chance that they can utilize them for a few years, and when they have small budgets.
Well, with this amount of money, doesn't it have to go out for an RFP, a bid, for a competitive bid for this?
The Motorola brand holds the state contract. They offer Motorola and the E.F. Johnson. I don't think there's anybody else that. Again, these are the questions that I'll let the professionals answer.
Sure. So Motorola does currently hold the state contract. QPA pricing is what a department can come to Motorola and say, I would like to order a radio. The radio pricing that they're getting is already a pre-negotiated price between Motorola and the state of Indiana. The price that the Clark County is getting and the city of Jeffersonville is getting is in addition to the state QPA by 7.5%. So the state QPA is 29%, and then the additional percentage, 27%, and an additional 7.5% for a total of 34.5% off of list price is what Motorola has given in this promotion here. So
my question, maybe I can change it, is I'm sure there are other companies that make a radio that's competitive to what Motorola puts out, and my question was, would another company have an opportunity to bid on the pricing of radios that do the same thing?
We could seek bids from another brand or model if that's the question. I mean,
that's my question. Is
I don't know.
Legally,
we're required to.
So they're not required.
They're not required to. Okay.
So you'll understand, Ronnie, kind of put it in the perspective of, because of the specialization of a police cruiser, the cars, then the chiefs are able to go out and buy that particular item so long as it fits in the parameters that are necessary from the vendor that they can get what they believe is the negotiated best deal. So this is going to be kind of the same concept because it is a specialized piece of equipment, kind of like fire trucks. You guys can go find your fire trucks. I don't know why I pointed to you, man. You're just shaking like I'm talking right to you, and you know what I'm saying. But so it's kind of that same venue of things.
Well, I think the public safety prefer the Motorola's. I think that's what they use. They have good record with them. They got it. Yeah.
I believe this question was, are we required by law?
No, you're not.
That was basically my question.
You're not, and I think the logic, Ron, is kind of that. I said the police cars just kind of give you a parallel where they're out making those decisions.
I have a question. Assistant Chief McVoy.
Sir.
When we spoke, and I appreciate that, I'm not sure if I asked you this or not, but it appears that the payment is $208,000 a year. That's the total.
Right, that's the
not
combined
your
total
part.
between fire and police.
Yeah, okay. And so, was any of that in your budget for 2018, or are you asking for an additional?
Right. Yeah, none of that was in our budget for 2018, 19, or 20.
And they won't need an additional in 18 because it's, they'll push, Motorola's offering to push that first payment back to 19 in kind of acknowledgement of that we've already done budgets. This is a fourth quarter
There's a deferred
thing.
zero payment for 2018, and then those numbers are the combined numbers for 19, 20, and 21.
And there, I noticed there's some fairly large amount still left in 17's budget for equipment. Is that spoken for, or can we utilize those dollars to apply to this?
I don't know how much is left in there as far as what we have, but I know that we have like 2 days and there's a bunch of invoices still left on my desk to be, as far as getting everything in before the deadline. So I don't know the exact amount, Mr. Samuel, that you're seeing. So.
Any other questions or comments for him? I appreciate you bringing this to us.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to listen.
Have to approve this?
Well,
Didn't we say we
You
were going to
wanna-
approve the leases?
We had a gentleman's agreement that we would not enter into
all right.
any without acknowledgement from the council that it was okay for us to do that.
Okay.
I move that we approve the entering into the lease for the police radios.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
That's confirmation. Go ahead.
Is the pricing based on a group order for the county? And have we secured the orders from the other departments that are going to go towards this, or are we going to get this price regardless of anybody else?
So in short order, you will get this price in regardless to anybody else.
Okay.
Between the two departments, Jeffersonville Fire Department, Jeffersonville Police Department, there is enough radio quantity there to incentivize Motorola enough to do this promotion. Anybody else within the county will get the same
They can jump
promotion,
on.
but it does not hinge upon them.
Okay.
The two departments with the city of Jeffersonville do more than enough to get that promotion.
Just for clarity, so there's no payments made in 2018. So for 2019 budget, we will have
Budget
this
for it,
information.
yes.
Great,
Yes.
thank you.
So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Bruce. You want
Is something else?
Happy holidays.
Happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Was there any public comment? Les?
No one signed up.
Okay. Then we will move on to council comments, and I'll start with councilperson,
No comments.
councilperson Z,
No comment?
councilperson Maple, councilperson Hawkins.
No comment.
Wow. Councilperson Owen.
The TJ Thomas Jefferson Tigers girls basketball team is playing in the semifinals against Charlestown tonight. So if they win tonight, they play for the championship tomorrow.
Wow.
In case anybody was interested.
Who's playing the
Okay.
other side?
Charlestown. What is that? I don't know.
Pleasant Ridge.
It would be Pleasant Ridge?
I think there's only two.
Yeah. That's all.
Okay. Councilperson Ellis.
Yes, I would like to say first that it's good to be back home,
It's good to have you back.
and I think that if more of the people from our side of the world got to see the living conditions of the people over on that side of the world, especially our children, they would be more appreciative of what we have. So I was totally stunned by the conditions that I saw that the people of Sierra Leone lived in. And it's just remarkable. But I would like to say that we were treated as if we were royalty over there. and given the best of care in that country, and I'll always have a special place in my heart for the love that those children over there showed us, even in the conditions of them running around in basically the bush barefooted, playing soccer. I mean, it was something else. And I got to see one of the village healers work some of his magic on someone that got hurt over there in the soccer game. So I'm truly blessed to be living in the conditions that we have here in this country, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful to the United States of America for what we have. That's all I got.
Councilperson Samuel.
This Thursday night, the 7th, beginning at 6 o'clock and just going for 1 hour, there's a community gathering down at the Gray and Wells building, the old Gray and Wells in the Arts and Cultural District. And it's to discuss the future of the Arts and Cultural District. There's going to be a number of city folk that are going to be presenting and talking about that area with local residents. And so if you're available, you're welcome to come. That's at 6 o'clock, starts at 6, and it's not going to drag out. Second thing is just some thoughts regarding tonight. We approved some dollars to go for the I think a positive program for the Clark County Cares. I would encourage us as we look next year, or maybe farther than next year, that we would identify whether we want to do it quarterly or 6 months, or every 6 months or whatever, to determine our monies that we're going to have in special projects or gaming that we're going to have. I'll just call the giveaway money, for lack of a better term, and maybe send out a notice to a lot of the local agencies that are going to that would come to us or have come to us, and let them come and give their proposals. And that way it's fair. Instead of whoever bends one of our ears and they get on our agenda, they get, if there's money in the account and it's a worthwhile cause, it's like, okay, we'll give it to them. So that allows us to prioritize. So I just maybe think about a process for that if we're going to continue that going forward. And then my last comment, I think you're going to do it, but the time of our next meeting, and then that's all I have.
Yeah, and actually I want to go ahead and take care of that now. I think discuss changing our council meeting for our December 18th meeting, changing it to 5:30. Is that agreeable with everybody? So I'd like to go ahead and, we need to do a motion for that? No? Yes?
I would.
Yeah, okay. Can I go ahead?
I'll make a motion for next meeting, 5:30.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. So if
Gotta
you please
advertise.
advertise for that, Larry, we appreciate that. I don't know how many of you all made it down to Light Up and the parade, but wow. We had a huge crowd, police and fire. They did a great time in organizing that, and what they had in the parade was great. Want to wish our public safety happy holidays. Thanks for all you all do. And also Clark County, the youth shelter celebrity waiter is tomorrow night. I think I've talked to Destin. Do you need any tickets? I think you don't. Okay. It's tomorrow at 6 if anybody can make it, and I do have those tickets. I will leave them with the clerk in case anybody changes their mind. And, we were wanting to get a meeting with HR to discuss some things that were brought up during budget and all. Kim has been trying to connect with Liz Gross. Apparently she's been in and out of town, and she's also going to be gone 3 weeks in January. Kim is really trying to meet with her in December, so then come the first year, maybe we can set up, have that workshop with HR that we've been trying to schedule. So I just want to bring y'all up to speed on that. With that, that's all I have. I will take a motion to adjourn.
Real quick, even though this is our first meeting, just as a reminder, our 2 January meetings will be on Tuesdays.
Okay.
It'll be January the 2nd and January the 16th. So we'll need to, I guess, change the advertisement for them too.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Meeting adjourned. Thank